Good morning. Good morning to all that are here in the sanctuary, and good morning to all our friends that are on live stream. We're so glad you're here. If anyone's here for the very first time today, or if you've only been coming a short time and you have questions about Unity, Stella is back there with a gold stole on, so you'll recognize which one she is. And she has a packet of information that tells you about what Unity believes and activities we do here at this Unity, and she can answer lots of questions, and she has a coffee mug for you too. And there's a form on the packet that we'd love to have you fill out, and if you're not going to go that way, there's forms in the back of the pockets of the chairs, so please let us know. Please check in on Facebook. Tell your friends you're here, and it's cool inside. Yes, we spent a little money on the air conditioning this week. Both the front and the back had problems. Well, you know my name is Dee, probably, and I have a plea. We need help easily trained back on the live streaming. Today, Amy's speaking and Lisa has to be back there because the only two, she's waving, the only two others that are trained to do it could not be here today. So Lisa's back there. Also, the nursery attendant couldn't be here today. And Jen texted me, the teen director, that she has a migraine today. So we really could use some people that are willing, when we need them, to be back there with the children. Okay, is that better? Well, I'm almost on it. Okay. Today's beautiful flowers are provided by John and Jeannie Brocker for their wedding anniversary. They are beautiful white roses, and Jeannie informed me this is their second anniversary. Time flies, I thought it was their first. Please join me in our mission statement. The words are up on the screen. Our mission is to encourage and inspire spiritual and personal growth by empowering each other to be authentically all that we came here to be. Let's speak together the affirmation for today's daily word. I give expression to my divine nature. My life is full. Accept these words as if you were speaking them. When I receive a gift, I may be surprised by the giver's thoughtfulness, dazzled by the pretty wrapping paper and colorful ribbons, and excited wondering about its contents. But I have to open it to see what's inside. My divine identity is perhaps my most precious gift. It's not enough just to know I have it. I must express myself to reveal my gifts to myself and everyone else. The love in my heart, the heights of my imagination, and the zeal that kindles my passion help me take my place in the world as only I can. The world is made more complete through my self-expression. As I step out boldly to share my gifts with the world, my life becomes more rich and full. Today's scripture is 1 Corinthians 2:12. Please join me. Now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit that is from God, so that we may understand the gifts bestowed on us by God. And let's repeat the affirmation. I give expression to my divine nature. My life is full. As I ring the prayer bowl, please hold the following people in prayer for their highest good. Sue Ann, Kelly, Jim, G, Steve, Carolyn, Peggy, Ron, Robert, Catherine, Nancy and her husband Paul, Dan, Dusty, Matt, Jess, John, Jeannie, Sophia, Kathy, Carolyn, Susan, and anyone that you would like to include in our prayers today. We send comfort and love to Beth DeLange, her sister, and the family on the transition of Beth's brother-in-law, and to Blaine Stiles on the transition of his uncle this week. Let us sing our thoughts, our prayers. As the sounds and vibrations coming from our prayer bowl fill the sanctuary, allow them to be absorbed into your bodies, minds, and souls. Visualizing your oneness with Spirit, take a deep breath in, hold, and exhale. Send and receive hope, peace, love, and joy to all the people around you and encompassing the entire world and all of its people. We focus on this place in this moment, relaxing our bodies to be present for our individual and collective prayer. We affirm the highest and best will be manifested for the names on the prayer list, for healing, prosperity, guidance, safety, and peace of mind. We receive these prayers for ourselves, our family and friends, to all. We celebrate this or something better, as is our birthright. We support diversity, equity, and inclusion for all. We support peace and harmony in all countries. We visualize food, health care, and shelter for those in need here and around the world. We visualize basic needs met, inner peace, safety, and happiness for all. Toward differences expressed in the United States of America, we emit love and only love. We remain calm and peaceful, leading to justice, fairness, and security in our country. We choose forgiveness to clear any blocks to our own well-being, our minds, or to the flow of love and prosperity. We forgive ourselves for regrets, for actions we have taken in the past. We contribute from a loving heart to a consciousness of oneness. God is our inexhaustible source. From all directions, expected and unexpected, our abundant good comes to us. by our consciousness. We attract divine ideas of ways to further support our lives and our church. We attract people who have been searching for the truth that will change their lives as it has changed our lives. We are grateful for the divine unfolding of God's good, actively working in and through those for whom we pray. And so it is. Amen. And now, as the band members are coming back to the platform, I'm delighted that we're welcoming Amy Burnett this Sunday. She's been a dedicated member here of Unity of Springfield for over 11 years. She served on the board for 9 years and held the roles of vice president and president. She volunteers as one of our adult education facilitators and helps run the Sunday live stream. Amy is currently taking classes through Unity Worldwide Ministry Spiritual Institute on the path to become a licensed Unity teacher. We truly appreciate her amazing dedication and her contributions to this ministry.
Get all of the electronic things in the right spot. And then breathe. Susan's always reminded me to breathe when I get up here. So good morning. I know that I have enjoyed all of the amazing talks that we've been getting to listen to over the past few weeks. And I was also reflecting and noticing how many of them have had to do with love. And then here we are again talking about love this morning. And I thought, maybe there's something really important we're supposed to get there. I noticed last week, Beck talking about demonstrating love and light and to those around us, and really just like the impact it can make to show up as radical acceptance and unconditional love to someone else. You also, as Dee told, most of you know I'm currently taking core classes through UWSI, and one of my classes this session is Bible Overview, a historical and cultural perspective. And that's been an interesting journey to dive into the Bible in a different way than I have in the past. And as most of you do, I sit around daily and look around at the world and try to figure out what is mine to do in all of this. As I see the things that I'm seeing and hear the things that I'm hearing, what is mine to do? How do I show up? And so looking at the, unity is based on the teachings of Jesus, and we go through that in this course that I'm in right now. We're going through the Gospels and looking at the stories of Jesus. And so when you conjure up an idea of Jesus, does what come to mind, is it a calm, passive, centered, loving being walking through life? Or is it a radical, audacious rule breaker? Or maybe a little bit of both. A little bit of both, yeah. The more that I study, the more that we talk in class and we really dig in to some of these stories, the more it becomes both for me. The more I'm relating to this radical, audacious rule breaker, sorry, I got a little tongue-tied there, part of Jesus. And so then I start asking myself, do I have the audacity to be love like Jesus was love in these stories? So first, let's look at the definition of audacity. If the clicker works. Okay. So audacity can have kind of a negative definition as well, but the definition we're going to look at is, firstly, audacity is about a willingness to take bold risks. It's about stepping into the unknown with courage and determination. It involves a disregard for conventional restraints, so it means challenging the norms and thinking outside the box, even when others might hesitate. And finally, audacity encompasses a confident and sometimes shocking approach. So that's the Jesus we're going to talk about today. So I don't know if anyone else is just getting around to playing with ChatGPT, but I asked ChatGPT to set the scene for a talk on Jesus and radical love, and here's what I got. Imagine you are standing in a crowded marketplace in ancient Judea. The air is thick with dust and tension. Roman soldiers are patrolling the street, a constant reminder that your people are under foreign occupation. The religious authorities are enforcing purity laws so strict that one wrong step, speaking to the wrong person, touching the wrong thing, could get you labeled as unclean and cut off from the community. And then here comes Jesus, not avoiding unclean people, but touching them, not reinforcing walls, but breaking them down, not upholding the letter of the law, but fulfilling spirit with love. This love healed lepers, spoke to women with dignity, welcomed foreigners, and forgave enemies. It was not polite love, it was revolutionary love in a world where compassion like that could get you killed. Dun dun, like that's the trailer for the most exciting movie on love you've ever seen. I thought that was great. So we're going to look at a few of the stories from the Gospels that kind of show how Jesus was this radical love, that it wasn't, he wasn't passively walking through the world and just being love in a way that people went, oh yes, that's what I want to do. So the first one is the adulterous woman. And so this is the story that Jesus, he's been to the Mount of Olives and he's sitting there in the early morning and this woman is brought to him and the men say, Jesus, this woman was caught in the act of adultery and the law says that she must be stoned. And Jesus knows that in this moment, there's a little bit of trickery going on, right? They're trying to get him caught up in not attending to the law of the land. And so the cultural context is that under Jewish law, adultery was punishable by stoning. No surprise if we know the Bible and we know our history, that this punishment was often enacted on women much more than it was on men. It was a public shaming ritual. It was designed to destroy a person's reputation and their life. And so these religious leaders were kind of making a trap for Jesus because Jesus had been walking around giving a message of mercy. So if he shows mercy to this woman, then he upholds his message that he's been giving, but he goes against the law of the land. And so they have a reason even more of a reason to be after him. And if he upholds the law of the land, if he falls to the pressure and says, well, it's the law of the land, they've got me cornered here, and he throws a stone, well, then he completely negates the message of love and mercy that he's been out there giving. And so we know what Jesus does instead is says, okay, so whoever is without sin, let them be the one to throw the first stone. And then he just stands back and waits to see what happens. And what happens is the men who brought the woman, none of them quite feel confident in front of Jesus in picking up and saying, I am without sin, and picking up the first stone and throwing it, right? So they kind of mill about for a minute and they are frustrated and then they just wander off. They don't even, I find this interesting in the story. They don't even say anything. They're just like, well, you got us. And they just kind of wander off. And they leave the woman standing there in front of Jesus going, now what? And he says, neither do I condemn you. Go your way, and from now on, do not sin again. So in doing that, he was breaking the law, right? Because they brought him this woman that had clearly met the laws of the land that said she should be stoned. In our metaphysical interpretation, the woman is representative of our soul caught in error thinking. And the accusers are those condemning thoughts that are there because of our ritualistic or legalistic thinking, like the laws of the land, the social norms, the things that we think ought to be. And Jesus is representing Christ's mind, who's refusing to join in to that condemnation and frees the soul to realign with truth. The next story is healing of the leper. So again, this is a story of those who had leprosy or other skin diseases. They were outcast, and you weren't supposed to talk to them or touch them. They were out of society. And in this story, a man who has leprosy dares to come to Jesus and say, "If you're willing, can you make me clean?" Because he misses being part of the society and being around other people. And Jesus is moved with compassion and stretches out his hand and touches him and says to him, "I'm willing, be made clean." That is a radical act in this culture of, you were ritually unclean if you had leprosy. You lived outside of town. You were isolated from your family. You couldn't attend worship services. People feared contamination. Touching someone with leprosy was unthinkable. So you can imagine as he's touching this person and saying, "I am willing, be made clean," like the audible gasps from anyone. How could you? Now what? What does this mean? The metaphysical interpretation, of course, is that the leprosy symbolizes our deeply ingrained negative thoughts that isolate us from the awareness of God and keep us separate, push us away from the truth that is our divine inheritance. And the touching represents conscious recognition of oneness and the affirmation of wholeness before there's any outer change that even happens. Just allowing the thought of wholeness to be present in one little corner of our mind is that touch from Jesus. But again, he's doing things that people in that culture would just find completely shocking. The next story is Zacchaeus the tax collector. So the tax collectors were not everyone's favorite person, right? The tax collectors were going around and they were collecting taxes, and there was a widespread practice of the tax collectors taking a little extra for themselves and making it even harder on the people of the land. And so most of the people tried to avoid the tax collectors. They were not seen as religious. They were not seen as expressions of love by any means. And so in this story, Jesus is coming into Jericho, and this tax collector, Zacchaeus, is very curious about Jesus, and he wants to see what all the hype is about. And so he climbs up a tree because he can't see through the crowd. There's too many people, and so he climbs up a tree and he's watching. And Jesus notices him and says, "Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today." And again, everyone goes, "Why? There's all these people here. Why do you want to go to the tax collector's house? This is not a person you want to hang out with. This is not a person who has the same thoughts and ideas and values as you do. Why in the world are you picking him to go sit and have dinner with?" It even says, in the cultural context that tax collectors, they worked for Rome, and so they were seen as traitors. Like it was like you did not invite a tax collector to your house for dinner, and you did not go break bread with them in their house. They were corrupt, and Zacchaeus was not only disliked, he was despised by this community. So it was like, of all the people, here, Jesus, that's who you're going to go have dinner with. Like that's how it would have been viewed from the people. And the fact that he willingly invited himself to his house. It wasn't like Zacchaeus had made some plea of, "Please come have dinner with me," and he went, "Oh, okay." He chose him to have dinner. So the metaphysical meaning there is that Zacchaeus is the part of ourselves that we've been operating from greed or self-interest. We're in our ego and that external circumstance part of living. And climbing the tree is getting an elevated perspective, being curious about something that's different than what I've been doing. So it's a desire to see the truth beyond the crowd and beyond the noise of everything that's going on. And Jesus going into his house symbolizes Christ consciousness entering our inner dwelling and transforming us from the inside out. The last one we're going to look at is anointing of the sinful woman. And so this is an interesting one too. So there's one of the Pharisees has asked Jesus to eat with him. And when he goes into the Pharisee's house, he's sitting there and this woman comes in and she begins to anoint his feet. She begins to wash his feet. She begins to weep at his feet. She dries his feet with her hair. She's like honoring him. In that culture, this was a way of like deep honoring. And the Pharisees look and say, why are you letting this woman touch you? She is a sinful woman. She shouldn't have the honor of touching your feet. And if you were truly a prophet, if you were truly the Son of God, you would know that. And you wouldn't let her touch you. And so Jesus goes on to tell, he says, if there was a debt collector and someone owed $500 and another person owed $50 and neither one could pay, and the debt collector chooses to forgive both debts, who do you think holds the most gratitude to the debt collector? And they say, well, I guess the one who owed $500, because they had more to lose if they couldn't come up with it. And so Jesus says, therefore, I tell you, her many sins have been forgiven, since she has shown and hence she has shown great love. So he's basically saying, okay, you're telling me that she had all of these sins, and she's now come to her awareness of her Christ consciousness, and has more gratitude. Her gratitude is overflowing, and this is a way she's choosing to demonstrate and honor that. And so why wouldn't I let her do that? But the Pharisees were very uncomfortable with that because she was not a holy woman, and she was a woman, first of all. And then she wasn't a woman that they held in high esteem, second of all. And so, she would have been, as a woman of poor reputation, completely excluded from polite company. And it's a shock that she even made it into the room with them. And then this anointing, like I said, from the cultural perspective, it was an intimate, sacred act. And it was usually performed by religious leaders, not outcasts. So, and then Jesus defended her publicly. So he didn't just ignore what was being said. He tried to tell a story and to have those in the room understand why it didn't bother him and why he was actually in gratitude and sitting in a place of love with this woman as she did this act. And so in the metaphysical meaning, the woman is our soul awakening to love's healing. And the anointing is the consecrating consciousness to the divine service. So, we don't spend a lot of time, I think, often really looking at these Bible stories and how they were passed down, thousands of years. We start with oral tradition, and then we go to written tradition, and what does it all mean? And so for me, looking at these stories, I really started to think about, like I said, that Jesus was kind of a radical, audacious, rule-breaking guy walking around. And I don't know if you've seen, some of you I know have watched the show The Chosen, and I've been watching some clips of that to illustrate different stories. And the way that that's portrayed in that show is really interesting too, because there is this sense of Jesus walks into town and everybody goes, what is he gonna do here? We're hearing these stories. He's doing all kinds of crazy stuff. He's bucking up against the status quo. What part of our society is he gonna come into town and try to tell us isn't the way of love and the way of God now? And so if we look then to our Unity leaders and some of our biggest voices, our founders, co-founders, Charles and Myrtle, we see that they talk about this audacious love as well. So Charles Fillmore says, the Christ is the perfect pattern of God in every person. And so he's really saying that this isn't limited to Jesus alone. Jesus demonstrated it fully for us, but we all have the same potential within us. And radical love is then seeing the Christ in everyone, no exceptions. That's the part that I know I struggle with. sometimes, that no exceptions, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. And so I think about Jesus in those moments. Like, was it comfortable? Was it convenient to constantly have people questioning? But why are you doing that? But how can you go against this rule that's been in place for hundreds of years? It couldn't have been completely comfortable or convenient, and yet he stood in his conviction, and he stood as who he was, and he stood in his knowing, and continued to teach as he went about. So Myrtle Fillmore reminds us that we must love ourselves into wholeness and love others into freedom, and that love is the great harmonizer. So radical love isn't sentimental. It's active recognition of truth in the face of appearance. Eric Butterworth tells us, love is not something you do, it is something you are. And that means radical love is not a mood. It's our spiritual identity expressing without any obstructions. Paul Hasselbeck often reminds us that in metaphysics, love is the power that unites, binds together, and draws us into oneness. Radical love is deliberate alignment with oneness consciousness, even in a world, get this, that's addicted to separation. Ooh, that hit me too. When I read that, I was like, I could think of at least 10 ways right now that it seems the outer world is addicted to separation. We create all of these circumstances to move us away from oneness. And so then, because we're unity, because we're practical, we try to come back to practical ways that we can be these things. I was looking at what are some of the practical applications that can help us align more fully with our divine nature. Because, radical love, it's not just a principle, it's a daily practice. We have to make a conscious choice to step into that truth. And so things that came up were love yourself without conditions. Still working on this every day, multiple times a day. Sometimes I don't even get halfway there. This is a big one for me. But looking at, you can't give radical love if you don't know how to receive it and claim it for yourself. So treat yourself with the same compassion that Jesus showed to others. And so one of the affirmations that came up was, I am a radiant expression of divine love, worthy of kindness from myself and others. I'm going to start my day with that. I am a radiant expression of divine love, worthy of kindness from myself and others. And then another suggestion I found was do a gratitude journal, but it has to be 3 things you appreciated about yourself that day. And, that for some that might seem too self-focused, but if we know that this all starts from within, and we have to be ready to receive it, then that's one of the most important things we can be doing, is recognizing how Christ shows up in our lives, like Christ consciousness. What do we appreciate about ourselves, and how are we aligned with that each day? Interrupting the cycle of judgment. So when you catch yourself labeling someone as wrong, ignorant, or less than, ask, what is the divine truth about them? So that doesn't excuse their harmful behavior, but it anchors you in the consciousness that can actually transform situations, right? So even, Jesus was presented with people who were committing adultery, people who were seen as sinful, irredeemable people. And he said, but I know the truth of who they are aside from all of that stuff. And so I'm still going to look at them as a worthy individual. And they are capable of healing and capable of correcting that error thought. I liked this too. Law consciousness divides and Christ consciousness unites. And so when we talk about law consciousness, that is that sticking to, well, this is the law of the land, or these are the social norms, this is how it's always been. That consciousness tends to divide people. It puts us into groups of us versus them, but Christ consciousness unifies. And then extend love where it's least expected. So offer grace for honest mistakes. Bless someone or the situation instead of getting defensive. Pay a compliment to someone who intimidates you or who maybe is not always kind to you. Offer compassion to someone that maybe you have a little bit of a moment where you think they don't really deserve this compassion. But do it anyway. Myrtle Fillmore would say, speak the truth to them until they awaken to it. So we have to keep holding that high watch. We have to keep seeing the truth of who they are in the midst of external circumstances. And that goes into see the Christ in others, especially in conflict. So the Christ in me beholds the Christ in you. Just as Jesus looked past cultural and personal labels, we can look past personality and behavior to see divine essence. And this will shift the energy from opposition to recognition of and oneness with. And then finally, being love in action. So volunteer without expectation, offer forgiveness without waiting for an apology, listen without judgment or trying to fix the person or the situation. Speak the good you see. Give compliments. How many times do you have that internal thought of like, oh, that was really nice, or I really enjoyed that, or that just felt so good to my heart to see that play out in front of me. But do you say it out loud? Do you recognize it for that person or for those individuals so that they might also join in that energy with you and go, oh, yeah, that was pretty great, or oh, thank you, I've really been working on that. Stand up for justice without hatred towards the unjust, and let love be the fuel for your activism. And I think that is really important in today's world, and in that whole figuring out what is mine to do. Those two things were probably the most impactful as I was going through things, to stand up for justice without hatred toward the unjust, and let love fuel your activism. Unity minister and author Linda Martella Whitsitt, in her book Divine Audacity, offers a meditation to activate radical love. And so I'm going to invite you to join me in that meditation now. And that's why Dee didn't do a full meditation earlier. I know that always throws people off when she doesn't go into the silence, but this is why, because she knew I was going to do this. So if you'll take a moment to gently close your eyes, relax your body into the seat that supports you. Breathe normally in and out. Notice the rhythm of your breath, but don't try to change it. Bring your awareness to the divine energy flowing through you now. I focus my attention on the energy center of love within my body, in and around my heart. To attune to this radiating center of love, I may place my hand over my heart while envisioning a soft pink glow emanating. Divine love is my name and true nature. I gratefully acknowledge that the well of love can never run dry, for the source of love is eternal. Under the influence of love, I awaken to more love than I have ever known. I call forth the magnetizing power of divine love. My thoughts are magnetic. Whatever dreams I am holding, I send them through the pink light of love. I center myself in the realization that the dreams I have planted and I am devoted to must bear fruit by this magnetizing power of love. I call forth from within me the harmonizing power of love. Love harmonizes my thoughts, words, and actions so that I see rightly and bring about good. I see myself, others, and all conditions through the lens of harmonizing love. I express love by seeing the good in all. I am the harmonizing power of love. I call it forth from within me with the unifying power of love. I am divine love, unifying my thoughts, words, and actions until I know only oneness. I see myself in others, others in myself, and God in us all. For I am one. I send out from within me the pink light of love, blessing me and all people, all of life. I am the power of love, loving. Today I accept the truth about myself. I rise in glory and allow the light in me to shine upon the world throughout the day. I am the power of love, loving. And when you're ready, open your eyes and return back to this room. So Linda Martella-Whitsitt calls this practice of being loved like Jesus and activating our spiritual 12 powers divine audacity. And she defines it as the fearless overcoming of only human tendencies in order to do or say the right thing, that which unifies, harmonizes, strengthens, and uplifts. With divine audacity, you dare to be the light of the world. And she says that when we are living with divine audacity, there we go. Here are some things that we're able to do. So you're able to boldly express the highest spiritual principles, even in the middle of everyday situations. You are fearlessly self-reflective and self-corrective. You champion the goodness within yourself and everyone else that you encounter. You suspend belief in the limitations that seem to be inherent to the human existence, and we stretch beyond our known capacity. We disregard appearances to hold a vision of what is in truth and what can be. We lift up instead of tear down. We believe in the inherent goodness of all people, and we hold firm to the knowing that we are the light of the world in such a way that others remember their divine identity just by being in our presence. I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound passive. And that sounds radical, right? So for those of you who really identify as rebels, like this is your chance to be like, I'm a rebel for love. I'm a radical actor of love going out into the world. So this audacity to be love will challenge our comfort zones. It will call us to forgive when the world says fight back. It will challenge us to include when the world is telling us to exclude, and to see the light in people that those around us have deemed unworthy. In Unity, we understand that when we do this, we're not just being nice. We're not being passive. We are aligning with the most powerful, harmonizing principle in the universe. As Charles Fillmore told us, love is the greatest harmonizing principle known to man. And when we love from principle and live from principle, we become the live demonstration of Christ in our world. And amen. Thank you. I always forget that I'm not done. We're going, okay, so now is the time in our service where we can demonstrate our prosperity consciousness by circulating our financial energy to this church, to this community, to this ministry that we hold so dear. There's a bunch of ways you can do that up on the screen. There's some new ways coming soon. And so just invite you to chant along in our prosperity chant as we gather those offerings today.
So grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I'm so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I'm so grateful.
They left on us, didn't they? Okay. Well, we say thank you, and so it is.
Time for some announcements. So please, as always, join us this evening and every Sunday at 6 p.m. for a peaceful group meditation session. Whether you're a seasoned practitioner or you're just starting out, everyone is welcome. And we're very excited to welcome Jerry Stefaniak once again as our guest speaker next Sunday. Jerry was a longtime spiritual teacher who served at Unity Church of Christ Christianity in Houston, and he is well known for his deep work with A Course in Miracles. For over 20 years, he has led countless workshops and classes that have inspired and uplifted many. We are grateful that he and Patty found us, and we look forward to the wisdom and heart he'll share with us next Sunday. Also next Sunday, in the New Thought and World Religion Adult Education class, join Amy Burnett for part one of her class, Power Up. So you spoke today and you're speaking next week. I tell you, somebody's got a lot of crowns for the jewels in heaven right there. Those getting in there, Amy. I don't know if you heard that speech she did today, but I haven't seen Jesus buttered up that much since Paul flipped on the road to Damascus. Let's move on. Class begins at 9:15, and you can join in person or tune in at the live stream or our Facebook page. Are you looking for a unique gift or a heartfelt message or poetic way to express your feelings? Well, Don Fredrickson is now offering custom-made poems tailored to your story, your occasion, and your voice. Perfect for any such occasion, and the only cost is a love offering to the church. Please reach out to Don if you have any questions. Don, can you raise your hand right over here? So if you have any questions, Don, thank you, Don. Are you looking for a meaningful way to give back? Well, come be a part of the Mat Makers group. Beginning August 21st, the Mat Makers will meet every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. This group creates sleeping mats that provide a barrier from the cold, wet ground for people experiencing homelessness. There are many ways to get involved, and no experience is needed. You can save and donate clean plastic bags. You can help flatten and cut the bags. You can make plarn, and you can help weave the mats. Every hand helps. Please come and join us in the simple but powerful act of service. Everyone is welcome. And you are invited to the next Prosperity and Growth Team meeting on August 18th at 6 p.m. Your insights and ideas are welcomed and vital as we explore opportunities for growth and for sustainable success. Our next Community Through Music outdoor concert is Saturday, August the 30th at 7 p.m. This month's performers are Lane Wagner, Patrick Morathi, and Karina Jane. Please bring a chair and a friend and come enjoy these amazing local artists. There will be hot dogs, chips, and soda available to purchase at an outrageous markup, says John. He sets the prices. Affordable markup. We are accepting donations for our next yard sale, which is scheduled for September 12th and 13th. The only donations we cannot accept are electronics and large furniture items. Please bring your donations to the church during the office hours, which are Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and of course on Sunday mornings. Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Dee says she will not be here on Friday, so don't come in. And Lisa won't either, though, so don't come on Fridays. That's not good. Save the date for October 1st for our annual group trip to Unity Village. Everyone is invited. There will be more details coming when it gets a little closer. I do encourage everyone, if you haven't been, to do it. It's quite a fun day. If we could please have Colin come up to the stage. So this is Colin's last Sunday here with us before heading off. So we're very excited for you. If you would please join me in blessing Colin. We love you. We appreciate you. We bless you. We behold the Christ in you. Colin, best to you, best to you. All right. If you would please now join us in the prayer for protection. You stay up here. Yeah, everybody can look at you. Please join us in the prayer for protection. Together. The light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is and